Great. Hi, everyone. My name's Diana Gazarian, and I am the chair of NALSA, which is the National Armenian Legal Students Association. Thank you all for joining our program today. As you most likely know, today is the second anniversary of the 2020 Artsakh War. So we gathered today with the goal of honoring the people who've struggled for decades with Azerbaijani aggression toward Armenians. Specifically, we'll talk about the first Artsakh War and the 1980s Baku, Sumgait, and Kirovabad pogroms that followed the collapse of the Soviet Union, the 2020 44-day war, and the current escalations by Azerbaijan, which have led to over 200 Armenian casualties and many families displaced or hiding from attacks. We'd like to run this more like a discussion as opposed to a lecture format. As you can tell, we've opened it up to where you can see each other and not just the panelists. So please feel free to chime in by using the question box to input anything you'd like the panelists to shed some light on, or you can simply use the raise hand feature if you'd like to ask your question directly. We'll give Yana another moment. She's having some technical difficulties to go ahead and get on the program, and then we'll start with the questions.
Yana's here.
Oh, great. Okay. So I'm gonna start by giving the panelists an opportunity to introduce themselves, tell us where they're coming from, and give us a little background on their connection to Artsakh, whether it was during the 80s and 90s or current or both. Levon, Gregorian, I'll go ahead and start with you.
Sure. Firstly, thank you for the invitation. My name is Levon Gregorian. I'm Spanish Armenian. My roots are from Artsakh. Actually, all my family, they were born and raised in Baku, but they are from Armenian and Shushi. And from my father's side, I'm Armenian from Halep, from Syria. So I have been living in Spain since I am 4. So we moved in the 1993. After the pogroms in Baku, my family participated in defending Artsakh during the war. And then after the first war, we moved to Spain. I don't know if you want to give us a little more about the background, but in my case, basically I studied in Spain, Brussels, and the US, and I always try to apply whatever I have learned throughout my career to help Artsakh. And I do think that this is the duty of each Armenian. So, as the summary.
Okay, wonderful. We'll get more into the substance, don't worry, but just a brief introduction is great. Thank you for joining us, Levon. I'll move next to you, Arman. If you could just give us a brief introduction and tell us where you're coming from.
I was born and live in Artsakh. My parents are also from Artsakh, particularly from Martuni region, and I know that at least maybe 6-7 generations of my ancestors are from Artsakh. Currently, I work at the Artsakh Ombudsman's office.
Wonderful. Thanks so much for joining us, Arman. I'll move now to you, Angin. If you could just give a short introduction.
Hi, everyone. My name is Angin Magardons. I was born in the Artsakh village, Sunik province, but when I was 5 years old, my family moved to Stepanakert. My mom is originally from Hadrut region, in particular Hintagher village, but I have some Artsakhian blood from my dad's side as well, because my grandmother is from Hinshen. If you know that, that village is laying in the middle of the road between Stepanakert to Armenia, from Stepanakert to Armenia, new road, I mean. And currently I'm studying at the Southwestern Law School. That's all. Thank you, and nice to meet you all.
Thank you, Angin. Yana, if you could give a brief intro.
Hello, everyone. My name is Yana. I was born and grew up in Stepanakert. My roots are also from Artsakh and Sunik, like the recent 7-8 generations, but my parents were born in Sumgait, and they were forced to leave their homes in 1988. I was born during the war in Artsakh, but the life after the war in Artsakh gives us hope and strength to live and create there. And currently I'm studying at Southwestern Law School as a Artsakh fellow, and can't wait to back to Artsakh and continue to live and create there.
Wonderful. Thanks so much, Yana. Julia, I'll turn to you for a brief intro, please.
Hi, my name is Julia Gregorian. I'm a lawyer working out of New York City. My connection to all of this, my parents grew up in Baku and we left like in '89, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later, but yeah.
Thank you, Julia. I'll actually stick with you for this first question here.
Yeah.
So the first Artsakh War happened from 1988 to 1994. The pogroms of 1988 in Sumgait and Kirovabad were the first in a series of targeted killings and expulsions of Armenians who were living in Azerbaijan during the Soviet era. In 1990, the violence spread to Baku, where your parents were living. So your parents left Baku around that time. Could you tell us a little bit about that experience as you've heard from them?
Yeah, so I guess my narrative is mostly kind of what I've heard from my parents and their experiences and their friends' experiences, but essentially they left Baku in about 1989. My mom and dad, they'd like recently gotten married and were kind of just starting like their adult lives. I think my mom was like 22, 23. And you know, they heard that they had to leave, that the conditions were gonna, you know, get pretty bad. And I think that at that time, they thought that it would just be something that was temporary, maybe kind of like how I thought like the COVID thing would just be a couple weeks and we'd all be back at work and everything would be normal. But I think like quickly it became apparent that that's not what was gonna happen. They left in '89, and my mom's parents were still in Baku, and they left a few years later, or maybe a couple years later, when things actually did start getting bad. You know, my mom was telling me how my like grandfather would, you know, go out and try to like he would like go get bread or try to get food or something, and he would just kind of be threatened on the street that, you know, if they saw him again, they would kill him, harm him, whatever. So then like they weren't able to go out and get food or anything either. And then finally there was a point where they were actually trying to find Armenians, and we actually had my grandmother's sister was married to an Azeri man, and he was kind of hiding them in his home. And you know, there was a time where some Azeris came and tried to, you know, find them, and he, you know, lied and said, no, it's just me and my wife here, you know, I'm not hiding anyone and all that. So after that, they were able to get a plane ticket to Moscow and kind of flew into Russia. So that's kind of our experience of moving out of that area. And then I was born once my parents were already in Armenia. And then, so thankfully we did leave, I think, before things got too bad, but we did have, you know, family friends that one of our family friends, she was, you know, pregnant and trying to leave, and they were all kind of taken. And this was like after, you know, after my parents had gone, and they were taken to like this large warehouse that was guarded by like, you know, Russian police. And then they were escorted to like boats where they kind of like escaped in like boats overseas, and those boats were like, you know, attacked and bombed and all of that, but she made it out alive. And then there was also, you know, a family friend that we had that was like living in kind of an Armenian area in Azerbaijan, and you know, the Russian army like led her and other people within that village over, you know, the mountains to try to escape. And you know, just very, very bad conditions. Obviously, there's a lot of casualties, both from like the strenuousness of the trip and the travel itself, and just also, I think, just constantly being under attack and having to hide and walk just probably hundreds of miles. There were some that didn't make it, and some that had to like leave their children behind or leave their grandparents or parents behind on the trip. So yeah, so everybody's story is a little bit different, and I found that talking to people about their experiences, because it kind of feels like a different life if they've made it to America and they're living a different life here. It's just kind of like a trauma that I think also a lot of times that generation maybe just doesn't know how to exactly like just fully recognize and digest everything that happened. So it's like bits and pieces that are remembered and that are kind of translated. And I'm sure it's also just hard to kind of relive that in the stories and trying to communicate that to other people. But yeah, so starting this on a high note, that's just a little bit about our experiences.
Thank you for sharing. And full disclosure, Julia is my first cousin. So our parents grew up in Baku together. And I echo that sentiment that it's very difficult for them to talk about these things and to kind of give us that information without passing the trauma on to next generations. But thank you so much, Julia, for elaborating a little bit on the circumstances that they have shared. Levon, I'm going to move to you because I know you come to us with a background of a little bit more of the history as well. So in your view, what events led up to the pogroms in which the Azerbaijani state began systematic killings of Armenians?
I mean, this is really the continuation of the genocide. There is no timeline that we can put together to say they began the pogroms in 1 year for one specific reason. Many people say that it is due to the Nagorno-Karabakh movement, the independence movement, but that's not true, because I mean the killings of the Armenians have happened in the Soviet Union times also, mass killings, revolts in Aghdam. Plus, the Armenian population was always targeted in Nakhichevan and also in the NKO in Nagorno-Karabakh. So, from my perspective, we cannot say that it's only due to the Nagorno-Karabakh movement. It is something that it is the continuation of all the pogroms that were made, on all the programs that the Soviet Azeri authorities have put together throughout the time. I mean, the Armenian. The Armenian population of Azerbaijan, they never lived side by side with the Azeris. I mean, there were exceptions on that, but the racism it was established in the Azerbaijan SSR from the schools to the universities, through the legal opportunities and the work opportunities of people. Nagorno-Karabakh region, as it was the most populated with Armenian, was underdeveloped, and it was only used to export raw materials. Nakhichevan population was completely displaced from Nakhichevan. So there in the 70s, there were no Armenian population living there. So it's really difficult to put a barrier on why these pogroms or why these killings began. For me, it's just a continuation of what happens in 1915. It was never punished. It continues during the Soviet times. And when they had the opportunity and they were not controlled by the Soviet troops, they just implemented what they were expecting to do for many, many years.
Thank you, Levon. I'm going to turn to you now, Arman. Echoing what Levon kind of laid out for us, why were Armenians back in the late 80s and early 90s so interested in having an autonomous Artsakh?
So to answer your question, I would like to go back and to discuss the events that took place much earlier. As we know, in 1921, Artsakh was handed over to Soviet Azerbaijan by illegal and unjust decision of Soviet Russia. And I think what is really important is what was going on during about 7 decades in Nagorno-Karabakh autonomous region. And just briefly, what was going on is Azerbaijani authorities were carrying out criminal policy of ethnic cleansing toward the Nagorno-Karabakh autonomous region with majority of Armenian population. Armenians of Artsakh were being subjected to gross human rights violations, ethnic, economic, cultural discrimination. Just one example, that during World War II, from Nagorno-Karabakh Autonomous Region, 34% of the population was conscripted to army, while from the other regions of Azerbaijan, only 18%. So all these actions, as a result of all these actions, demographic shift took place, and from 94% Armenian population decreased to 75%. And I think that when we say movement started in 1988, I would say that it just went into its active phase in 1988, and it started much earlier. So Armenians started movement to protect their ethnic identity and to prevent further decrease and ultimate depopulation of Artsakh.
Thank you, Arman. And Arman, you can answer this question as well, especially someone who joins us from Artsakh, currently residing in Artsakh. And then I'll open it up to the broader panel as well. But why do you think Armenians are interested now in an autonomous Artsakh? Do you think that the considerations have changed since the 80s or even before then, as you've articulated? Or do you think that they're the same reasons that we had previously?
Well, the situation has changed, but it became worse. So the reasons still exist, but now we have a situation that is worse. So that's why, so the reasons are the same, yeah.
Thank you. Ongen, I'll turn to you as well. You and Yana are currently students at Southwestern pursuing your LLM, but as I understand it, you both have intentions to return to Artsakh. I know, more than anyone, the people who actually are citizens of Artsakh now likely are as interested as possible in an autonomous Artsakh, but can you articulate in your own words why it's so important to you? What does an autonomous Artsakh mean to you?
For me, that means that people of Artsakh, Armenians, can live in Artsakh, because otherwise there is going to be a lot of the reputation of history. People are going to be killed, there is going to be different attacks. Maybe it's not going to be like a one time. It's going to be different attacks from different places. They will go into certain people. They are going to do different criminal acts, and they will make people afraid to live in Artsakh. And they will force people to voluntarily leave Artsakh. And in this case, I guess people are interested in this autonomy because that will give us an opportunity to continue to live in our homeland. Because as you know, a lot of people become displaced after this war. And a lot of displaced people now reside in Artsakh. That means in addition to that people will need to be displaced the second time, some people the third time, and the people who are never been displaced will become displaced as well. Then a lot of other questions will arise. For example, where that people are going to live, how they are going to live, because their homes are there, their jobs are there, their history, everything that we have is there. So if we are not going to have some kind of autonomy, then we will not have a place to live, and we will become displaced people who will just scatter all over the world. Some people maybe will live in Armenia, but some people, I guess, will want to leave Armenia as well, because there is a big uncertainty in Armenia right now as well. That means another wave of immigration from Armenia. A lot of people will leave, and actually, I don't like that the course of actions. I would like to live in my homeland. I would like to live in my house, and I would like my people to live in their country. Everything that we have is there, and we would like to keep it the same way. To keep it not the same way because we lost a lot of stuff, but just to keep the remaining stuff that we have for now.
Thank you, Anna. Or Ongen. Yana, is there anything that you'd like to add to what Ongen has echoed here?
Also, Levon and Arman already spoke about historic and legal issues of the conflict, and of the situation. But I just wanted to add that if we speak about the Artsakh, Nagorno-Karabakh, we need to go to 1918, where the problem and the conflict actually started. And we need to just ask ourselves, do we accept the illegal decision of Communist Party of Russia, which decided to handle the Artsakh to Azerbaijan, and with a funny description that it will help two nations to make a friendship. I just think that we need to go deep to the history in order to have our legal, all the rules and all the thing that we are going to base all the foundations, and to ask ourselves what kind of what future we want for Artsakh. And actually the whole the population of Artsakh will say that our intention is the same that it was in 1988 and 1989, to just remove the illegal decision and to be joined to Mother Armenia. I mean, it was the intention in 1988 because people were thinking that 70 years they were just subject to criminal policy of Azerbaijan, and Azerbaijan did everything to, as Angin said, to make people voluntarily leave Artsakh during the Soviet period. For example, I said that my parents were born in Sumgait, but how they just were in Sumgait. The issue is that was during the Soviet period in 1914, in 1950s, Azerbaijan just put, there was no Armenian colleges and no possibilities for Armenians to go to some college or any educational institution. They were forced to go either to Baku or other cities of Azerbaijan to have an education. And it's like obvious that when people are moving to somewhere, they are going to stay there. That was, for example, my grandfather can't find a job in Artsakh, and he was forced to left and go to Sumgait to study there, and then he just stayed there. It is the obvious example of genocidal policy of Azerbaijan, because genocide don't always mean kill people, but it also mean to force people to leave their homes, or as we called it, some kind of white genocide. So now it's obvious that Armenophobic intentions of Azerbaijan are growing day by day, and the recent war in Armenia just proved that they are not going to make a friendship with Armenians, but they want. And we always said that it's not the territorial issue that we are like. It's our intention to implement our right to self-determination, but we see that for Azerbaijan, it's a territorial issue. They are pretending to also occupy some Armenian lands that are belong to a Republic of Armenia. So we need to speak up about it to the world, that the intention that it is not possible for Armenians, for Artsakh Armenians, to live under Azerbaijani government, and also to speak that this Soviet Russia's decision was not legal and can't be placed on the foundation of the relationship between Caucasian and some states. So that's my point.
Thank you, Yana. And Levon, I'll turn to you now with regard to something that Yana mentioned, which was that it would be relatively impossible for Armenians living in Artsakh to live under Azerbaijani rule, as we've sometimes heard from the Azerbaijani state as a proposed solution. Why, in your opinion, would it be impossible for Armenians to live under Azerbaijani rule in Artsakh?
Yeah, actually, I think this was quite answered by Yana. And I would like actually to unify both questions. You were asking why Armenians are interested now in an autonomous Artsakh. I don't think Armenians are interested now. I think Armenians from Artsakh, they have tried in many different occasions to join Armenia or to gain the independence. I mean, it was not only now, it was in the 60s, they tried through many letters to the Soviet rule. They tried through, actually there was a votation of more than 45,000 Armenians signed a decree asking, for example, to be unified with Armenia. And the answer was always repression. It happened also in the 70s, 80s. So it is not only something that happened in the late 80s, 90s. It is something the Armenian population of Artsakh tried throughout the entire history, being part of Azerbaijan autonomous region. Relating why it's impossible, I mean, I think this is quite clear. I can make two parallels. One of them is Nakhichevan. Nakhichevan was also an Armenian territory, as Nagorno-Karabakh, it was included as an autonomous region within Azerbaijan. The reality is that they have cleaned the entire population by the 70s. They closed all Armenian schools, all the Armenian churches were closed, but the mosques were open for the Turkic population. And also they were trying to depopulate by not creating any jobs in the region and repopulating all the Armenian villages with Azeri, Tartars, Kurds, Turks population. So by the end of the 70s, there were only 0.2% of population living in Nakhichevan. They tried to do exactly the same in Nagorno-Karabakh. They could not reach that, but as Arman was pointing out, the Armenian population decreased from 100 almost percent to 75%. If it will continue under the Azeri rule, definitely the Armenian population will be depopulated throughout the years. And Yana also pointed out, this is a white genocide, this is a reality. We have seen that we cannot live with them. It is not that Armenia doesn't want to live with Azeri people. It's basically they are trying to exterminate all the Armenian population. In the Soviet Azerbaijan, there were living almost 500,000 Armenians. They are living zero now. We do not count Nagorno-Karabakh, and we don't count this population as within Azerbaijan. So what is the future for Armenians there? To be exterminated? I mean, we have seen the pogroms, women were raped, killed, murdered. They did exactly the same as during the genocide in the 90s. They are doing the same now. I mean, the videos of the population that is captured by Azerbaijan, I think there are no words to describe that. There are people like elder people, 80 years old, being, I mean, beheaded on camera. They put that on TikTok and they are praised and they give medal to these people. So how it's possible that the civilian population, without being defended by the Armenian army, can live within Azerbaijan? It's impossible. And we have seen the same now in Armenia. I was in Armenia during the last conflict, the last try. Actually, it was an invasion, the last invasion of Armenian territory. They tried to kill everyone they captured. And actually, a couple of soldiers that they captured and they filmed them being treated by medical support of Azerbaijan. Afterwards, they were killed and the bodies were handled to the Armenian army. So I think this question is answered by itself, how we can live with this kind of people and how the rights of the Armenian population are going to be defended. I don't see any solution like living together if it is not autonomy and independence, not only of Artsakh, by Armenia. Now we are not talking about Artsakh only. It's if there is no Artsakh, there will not be Armenia. This is one single entity.
Thank you, Levon. I now want to turn to something that you said. You said it's impossible for us to live side by side. So, Arman, I'll start with you. Do you see any potential solutions to the conflict or steps that can be taken to improve the situation in any way? And that includes steps that can be taken by the diaspora, which is obviously a pretty large portion of Armenians who are living outside of Armenia and outside of Artsakh.
I think we definitely should pursue our path of self-determination and international recognition of the Republic of Artsakh. To this end, and generally, I think, first of all, we should strengthen our army, because our army is the only a real guarantee to security for the people of Artsakh. Also, I think we should advance democracy, rule of law, the idea of having state without corruption, with independent judiciary. And I think that Artsakh should strengthen its ties with Armenia and diaspora. And I know that there are strong ties, but we always have some room for improvement. And what about diaspora Armenians? Particularly about Armenian students living abroad. I think the most useful would be, like, everything you do makes difference. And even if you don't see any tangible result, just make sure it makes difference. And you can live in Artsakh for about 1 or 2 years. That would be great to share your ideas, your thoughts. Also, you can visit Artsakh for about 3 weeks, 4 weeks, do some sightseeing, be in borderline villages, to speak with the people living there, to encourage them, to let them know that there is someone abroad who cares about their lives. Also, you can participate in the events organized by Armenian community there and organized by Armenian organizations. And I'm wondering how many of you know about the internship opportunity at the Artsakh Ombudsman's office. If someone is interested in that opportunity, please contact the Armenian Bar Association. Also, you can do research, write an article, and get it published in a law journal. And just always be dedicated to the Armenian cause.
Thank you, Arman. We'll definitely make sure people reach out to you if they'd be a good fit for the program. Julia, I'll turn to you. I know obviously that your family left Baku, left Azerbaijan a long time ago and immigrated to America, but what do you see as the future in Artsakh? What do you think is a potential solution in order for the people of Artsakh to live in peace?
I have no idea. To be honest, I mean, I don't think I wish I had a solution. I think kind of like what was said already, I think by Arman, it's like anything that we can do, just, we're kind of far away from the solution. But and from the issue directly itself too. So anything we can do, and just to be kind of open for that. But I think balancing the need to do and act with the need to kind of also protect ourselves. I think I don't know, but I think that it's important to take care of ourselves and to kind of have like a mindset that also values just our own like mental and physical health, because I think the healthier we are, the more we can be in a position to help whenever we are asked to, or when we find opportunity to. I think that, and I'm saying this because during, in 2020, when all of this happened, there were so many people that were wanting to help and wanting to do so much, and that caused a lot of burnout, I think, of a lot of people, and I saw that. And so I think because this happened in our lifetimes, maybe twice in my lifetime now, and it may happen again, and it's happening, I guess, maybe 3 times in my lifetime now. I think just being conscious of what you can do, not putting too much on yourself, thinking that you alone can find the solution, just collaborating, paying attention to what you can actually do, and I guess not falling under some illusion that there is some easy solution or some quick solution, and just taking baby steps when you're asked for help to kind of, know whether you are capable of helping and to what extent, and signing up for that.
Thank you. I agree that the collective mentality and the collective emotional well-being of the Armenian community, whether that's in Artsakh in Armenia or abroad, is very important and something that we should prioritize. Ongen, your family is in Artsakh now, and of course you're going to return after. What are some of the characteristics of daily life in Artsakh for the people who are living there currently?
Can you repeat please the question?
Sure. What are some characteristics of daily life in Artsakh currently for people who are living there now? What are the circumstances like?
Okay. I can say that the daily life changed after the war, because people are now they are not somehow willing to do the stuff that they were doing before. And also there is another big problem. For example, if you want to raise a state budget, you need to have some investments. But because of the really uncertain, it's not enough to say uncertain, it's more than uncertain situation in Artsakh. There is no investments from abroad. And the people who are living in Artsakh, they are not also ready to do some investments, to start some businesses or stuff like that. And even people who are living their daily life, they are not ready to spend much for example, houses, to do, I don't know, to expand whatever they have. I guess that's really devastating. Also, not also that problem, but also a lot of people left Artsakh after the war. And what I can say, the surroundings changed, people around you, people lost a lot of friends, colleagues, family members. So for some people, maybe it's the same way because they didn't lost anything, their houses, their friends or stuff like that, and they continue to live the same way, but not exactly like the same as it was before. But for the most of the people, the situations are really changed. And in my case, going back to the question of the solution of this problem, I just wanted to add that for sure this problem can't be solved one-sided. The problem needs to be solved both-sided. That means the other part, which is Azerbaijan, needs to be willing to change the situation as well. We can strengthen our army, we can strengthen our education and all of this stuff, but if they're not willing to change the situation, we will be living a life in continuous war. Today it's in Sunik, tomorrow it's in Artsakh, the next day it's in Gevarkunik. It will continue the same way. That's why I think that's important to have that understanding from the other side as well, because they need to be willing to work with us and to continue somehow, I don't know, the negotiations to come to the some decision. And for me as well, I don't see the future of Artsakh within Azerbaijan, and but yeah, I'm not so sure if we can imagine our future in Armenia as well, because we had a lot of time before 30 years to join the Armenia, but we didn't do so because Armenia wasn't willing to do so. And I'm not sure if the situation changed for now. And that's why I can't see any other resolutions as self-determination or recognizable or become a separate state, internationally recognized. That's what I will see for Artsakh as a self-determination, but it's really hard to live like that. For me, it will be best way to become an internationally recognized state. For me, it's the best solution. That's what I can say.
Thank you, Anna or Angin. We have a few questions coming in from the audience, so I wanna turn to some of those. Yana, I'll ask this one to you. What would be the most surprising thing about Artsakh for an Armenian in the diaspora relocating there if they have never lived there before? So what would surprise someone about Artsakh if they were to relocate there?
Maybe the friend. It's actually a little bit more than 2 weeks that I'm in the United States, but I will definitely say that diaspora Armenians from the United States being in Armenia will be very surprised about the openness and friendliness of Artsakh people, because we are very a small community. We are very connected with each other. We know actually even everyone knows each other, and everyone can easily understand, or you are newcomer or not, and everyone will be willing to help. And just if you just want to go to Artsakh to even for a short period, you can go just without any contacts and without any support information. Just go to this station to in Yerevan and sit on the bus to Stepanakert. Go to Stepanakert, ask anyone, and anyone will be willing to help with any question, housing, living, or just work. But I totally agree with Arman that the most important issue is that people of Artsakh want to feel themselves not alone. I mean, many, like we can say that Armenians from diaspora help us financially or materially, but to be honest, it will not just keep the connection much. The connection will be more strong, the ties will be more stronger if we will have constant relations with diaspora. That's mean that we will have coming and going. I mean, even coming or staying. I mean, the Armenian diaspora office and Artsakh Ministry of Foreign Affairs and also the Ombudsman office have so many possibilities available, internships for diasporans, and like e-gourds or just another opportunity that will help some diasporan to come to Artsakh or Armenia and to work on their professional specialization. I mean, you can just devote like 1 or just 2 months of your life to Armenia and Artsakh, and that will be much important for our people. And I believe that that connection, Armenia, Artsakh, and diaspora connection, can do many things. I mean, I don't want to. We are. I don't know why, but after the war, we are very we are trying to be more pragmatic, but we can. But it doesn't mean that we can't also be some romantic. I mean, we need to dream about big Armenia, about independence, etc., but work today for development of what we have now. And the best solution for it will be constant connections. And actually, that's, for example, our example that I'm a fellow of Artsakh in Southwestern. I will be back. We can have the same exchange program for Armenians of United States or other countries to come to Artsakh State University to study or to teach. I'm an assistant lecturer at Artsakh State University. I will be back, and I'm ready to cooperate with anyone who wants to come to Artsakh and to teach or to have some open lectures or anything else. Just you can share with anyone our contacts, and we will be ready to organize, to manage everything.
Thank you so much, Yana. I think it's good to hear that there is still some romanticism left, and there is still some optimism left in Artsakh. We really like to hear that. Arman, is there anything that you'd like to add to what the current life in Artsakh is like, and what would maybe shock someone who hasn't been there?
I came to Los Angeles to study at Southwestern last year, and again when I came to Southwestern, it was a kind of cultural shock for me. And I'm sure if someone comes to live in Artsakh for the first 2 weeks, it will be the same feeling of cultural shock. Again, because cultures are really different, but then you get used to it, so no worries. Just come here and it will be fine.
Great, thank you. We have another question from the audience. How do the people of Artsakh view the presence of Russian peacekeeping forces, and what is the perception of Russia as a stabilizing force in the area in general? I don't know who wants to answer the question, but any of you, if you have an answer to that, that would be great.
I can answer the question because I left Artsakh just 2 weeks ago and I have very fresh feelings about it. Actually, during after the war in November 2020, the Russian peacekeepers that came to Artsakh were like Artsakh people thought that there can be a guarantee for our safety and our secure lives in Artsakh. But the subsequent situation, the subsequent events like the situation in Khazarbert of Hadrut region, the situation in Parukh and Karagluch of Askiran region. I mean, we lost that territories after the statement of November 9. And after that, all that situations, many of Artsakh people just lost their belief that Russian peacekeepers can be the security guarantor of Artsakh people, especially that they have no mandate, no legal basis for their being in Artsakh. And but like we mentioned many times during this discussion, that the only guarantor of our security and our safety can be only army, only the army of Artsakh, the defense army. I mean, and actually after the connected with the recent events in Ukraine, I mean the invasion of Russia to Ukraine, we also lost many belief or trust to Russian peacekeepers, but I want to mention at the end that at the point now we don't have any other option.
Thank you, Yana.
Yeah.
We have another question that I don't know if.
Sorry for interrupting. Just to add, because a lot of people ask about the Russian peacekeepers or the Armenian army or the Artsakh army. I'm not so romantic as Yana. I think 2020 was a complete defeat of Armenian nation in general. It was a complete defeat of the Armenia as an army, as a government, as a structure, as there was a complete defeat of Artsakh, and of course it was a complete defeat of diaspora. Diaspora, we live in a so romantic mood, and we forget that we are part of this Armenian nation. And if Armenia disappears, if Artsakh disappears, there will not be Armenia. It is not the same as it happened in the past times. And we need to wake up. I mean, I think we need to redo the question, what would we feel about the Russians? Not what diaspora feels about the Russian. Because I don't know if you are aware, if you don't have an Armenian passport, now you cannot enter in Artsakh. So what do you feel as a diaspora in Armenia, not having the opportunity to enter in your land? And it's not the fault of the Russian troops, it's not the fault of the Artsakh army or even Azerbaijan. It's the fault that diaspora has been sleeping for more than 30 years. We don't even enter in the Armenian government or Artsakh government and so on. We need to wake up. And if now we cannot enter in Artsakh, even if it exists, I don't want to redo this question if Artsakh disappears and do this question to my kids, why they do not have a homeland they can visit. So I think this question we can do it to ourselves. What else we can do to help? Not only volunteering, but I mean, come on, it's not only sending money. I think Arman put it perfectly in line. Go and live in Armenia. 1 week. I mean, go there, see what people need. What are the feelings? I was with, actually Yana was also participating. We made a program for journalists. We were in Goris. We visited all the front line, like what is now being invaded. Many of them already died. Like people we were visiting like 2 months ago, they are not there. They were killed in 1 month. And the reality is that in diaspora, we are like 2 Europeans, as I say. We post in social media, we need to protect Armenia, that's it. And I'm so sorry, the stickers and the likes and so on are not protecting lives. We need to do more. So sorry for not being so romantic, but wake up, because I mean, it's not only the loss of territory, it's the loss of lives. These lives are not coming back. And if we lose this territory, we lose the people living there, there are no hopes and no future for Armenia.
Yeah, I agree with with Levon as well about a call to action. And I think it's such a complicated issue, because to echo some things that Julia said about everyone's emotional well-being, and then of course, the kind of duty that we have as Armenians, whether we're in Armenia or whether we're abroad, it's sometimes a tough balancing act. There's another question from Lucy to you, Arman. Your father fought during the pogroms and you fought during the 44-day war. How has that impacted your family and balancing all of these considerations?
I would say, why do Armenian people fight? Because they fight for life. They fight to protect. They fight to protect who they love, what they love, and who they are. So they have no other choice. That's why people fight. And because it's the second anniversary of the Azerbaijan aggression against the Artsakh and its people, I would like to say eternal glory to all our martyrs. And I don't like to speak about this topic, so sorry.
Thank you, Arman. No, it's understandable, and we thank you for your service. And we know that it can have, a lasting impact, and it's not necessarily easy to talk about, and that's okay as well. So I just want to kind of end and go around again with the panelists, and as long as there are no additional questions, you can feel free to input any additional ones in the chat, and I'll go ahead and ask those as well. But if we could just go around and say what your hope is for the future of Armenia, whether or not we know the solution, what is your hope for the future of Artsakh? Julia, I'll start with you.
World peace, I don't know. I hope there's some sort of stabilization of the situation, that people can live, freely and not wonder, if they're safe tomorrow, that people can just dream and pursue what they really love and want, without the fear that their life or health and safety would be, and their children's and families will be under attack.
Ongen, we'll turn to you. And if you'd like, we do have another question from the audience if anyone wants to answer it on their round here. Why did formal unification of Armenia and Artsakh never take place in the 30 years prior to the 2020 war? But Ongen, what is your hope for the future of the people of Artsakh, yourself and your family included?
I hope that we'll be able to live in peace. That's one of my greatest wishes. So, for example, for the children in Artsakh to live the same, how can I say? Sorry. They live without any hardship, without the fear of life. That's my hope for the future.
Thank you, Ongen. Yana, what is your hope for the future of Artsakh?
I'm sorry, but being a lawyer do not disturb me to be a romantic. And I hope that one day Armenia and Artsakh will be strong enough, safe enough, and developed enough to host all the Armenians around the world. And of course, I just regarding the one of the questions that there on the chat, of course, we don't have many people to advocate for Armenia and Artsakh in social media, in different international organizations or elsewhere. But at least I know that not the 10 million of Armenians around the world, they will not be able or will not want to come to Armenia even for a week or for 1 month, but at least they can just speak about it. I mean, even on social media, on Facebook, on Twitter, or elsewhere, just to speak, to spread about our issue, about our problem, about our existential question. I mean, we need to speak about it because, you know, in the world, everyone today is speaking about the Iranian woman, but nobody is speaking about the Armenian woman who was murdered and by criminals of Azerbaijan. I mean, nobody speak about that because we need to speak first. We need to spread around the world that what issue we have and how we see the solution of that issue. Regarding the second question in the chat, why Armenian and Artsakh unification didn't happen during the recent, so like before 2020 war. I just want to say that one wrong decision can just turn us to the situation of today, and we had that decision in 1919, the beginning of 19th, and we put our agenda that the first question must be self-determination of Artsakh people, recognition of Artsakh, and then recognized and independent Artsakh will be able to join Armenia without any violation of legal proceedings or anything else. Today we see that it was much easier in 1991, 2 or 3 to make a decision of unification and to put all the legal proceedings and legal background after the first Azerbaijani Karabakh war. But now it's not easy to even speak about that because, you know, we have we have presence of 4 armies in Artsakh, like our defense army, Russian army, Azerbaijani army, and Turkish army. How can we speak about that now? Unfortunately, we can't, but at least we can do anything to avoid such kind of situations in the future and to try to improve the situation today.
Thank you, Yana. And Levon, what do you hope for the future of Artsakh?
Actually, it's Artsakh populated by Armenians. And that depends on all of us, not only on people from Artsakh, like originally or ethnically. It depends also in diaspora. It depends on Armenians from Armenia. We need to stop making differences. I mean, I hope just unification, but not territorially speaking. It's just between Armenians. I mean, once we talk about Armenians, we say, I'm from there, I'm from the other part. Someone is Hayastansi, the other one is diaspora, yeah, or even within Armenia, you say Yumbretsi, Yerevansi, I don't care, or Artsakhi. I mean, we need to unify. We need to take out all these differences and concentrate on the only thing that makes us to be unified, which is being Armenian. Who cares about where we are, the roots, or if there are any mix? I mean, if you feel Armenian, you're Armenian. If you're Armenian, live as an Armenian. I mean, don't say just I'm Armenian because my surname finishes in Yan. This is a big mistake. And we tend to think that being Armenian is something to be proud because we are born Armenians. I don't think so. I think we need to earn being Armenians. I mean, it's a genetic duty, as Shalaz Naru used to say. It's a genetic duty to be Armenian. We need to work towards that. We need to live as Armenians, to defend that idea, and to be able to say that we are Armenians proudly. I don't know if a lot of us should do these questions ourselves. Are we doing enough to help Armenia? Are we doing enough as an individual, not just volunteering? I mean, we need to stop to see Armenians as an NGO. Armenia is not a territory for Armenians. We need to help them economically. Forget that idea. I mean, there's a lot of money in the country, not so well distributed, but there is money. We need to help in other means. We need to help in media. We need to help them in government structures. Something so basic. You're a chef, open a restaurant in Armenia. I mean, there are so many ways to help the country. When I say Armenia, I include Artsakh within, because for me, there is no difference. We need to engage as Armenians. And the only thing I really desire is unification of our nation. We need to put aside all our differences, put aside the envy, because I think this is the worst cancer we have as Armenians, and the individualism we have. We are all individuals. We're an army of generals. We're the soldiers. To win a war, you need soldiers, and sometimes we don't even think about that as an organized community. I mean, unification. I would love to see a unified Armenia, and of course, if we are unified in all the, in all the structures, all the levels, we will have a strong country. We'll have a strong army. We will have a strong economy, and with that, we can protect our nation. Because this is not about the country. This is about our nation. We're gonna disappear if we do not do so.
Thank you. And we've run a couple minutes over, but I just want to thank all the panelists for taking time to talk to us about your experiences. Thank you to Armand who served, and kind of to echo what Levon said, we are one unified Armenia. So we're always with you, the people of Artsakh. If anyone has any questions or wants to follow up, feel free to reach out to the Armenian Bar, or you can reach out to me for any questions related to NALSA. My email is dianagazarian@gmail.com, so pretty straightforward. Thank you all so much, and we'll see you next time.